Did you know that the method you are going to use to solve any polynomial depends on the nature of the polynomial? Yes, the method that I will use to solve this question 1 is different from what I'm going to use to solve question 2, and it's also different from the method I'm going to use to solve this number 3. Yes, and especially this number 3 is actually very tactical. So I will advise you watch to the end so that you get these 3 methods, and by doing so you will be very glad that you did, because by the end of this video you'll be able to factorize any polynomial that is cubic that you come across. Okay, all right, now we are going to start from the first one. So I'm going to copy the second and the third somewhere because my board is actually very small, so I need all the space I can get. Okay, all right, I've copied it somewhere, so I'm now going to clean number 2 and number 3. Now let's get to it. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing how to factorize cubic polynomials. All right, this particular question now, by looking at it, this is the first thing. We can try factorization first and see if it's going to work. That is, we are going to factorize it straight and see if it's going to work. Now, how do we do that? Just like normal quadratic equation. All right, that is your power when your x is raised to the power of 2. You know how you do your factorization. We are going to use the same method. So in this case, this can be written as what? X to the power of 3 plus 3x squared, right? Plus minus 4x minus 12 is equal to 0. All right, so let's factorize. Okay, let's look out for common term here and another common term here. Now, what the common term that x cubed plus 3x squared, well, the common term that they have in common is x squared. Okay, so if we should bring x squared out and open this bracket, x to the power of 3 divided by x squared will give us x. Okay, plus 3x squared divided by x squared will give us 3. Okay, now let's do this side. Plus the common factor that this and this have is minus 4. So the minus is going to affect this plus here. So we are bringing out minus 4. All right, now minus 4x divided by minus 4 will give us x, right? So we have x here. Minus 12 divided by minus 4 will give us plus 3 is equal to 0. All right, notice that what we have in this bracket is the same thing with what we have here. So this method of solving this particular polynomial is going to work. So we are going to move ahead. Once what we have in the bracket is the same, go ahead. Now it means that we can actually call this what? X squared minus 4, x squared minus 4, bracket x plus 3, right? X plus 3. Now note, because this is what? Cubic, it means that the value of x has to be 3. We have 3 values of x. So now looking at this, now we can't get 3 values of x. It's not already in 3 values already. So what do? We need to factorize this. This is a quadratic, so we still need to factorize this. Okay, note this is equal to 0. Now we can rewrite this as what? X squared minus 2 squared, okay, bracket x plus 3 is equal to 0. What are you seeing here? What are you seeing here? What we are seeing here is what? Difference of 2 squares. Yes, so we are going to do this, express this as difference of 2 squares. Since this is difference of 2 squares, this can be written as x minus 2 into x plus 2 bracket x plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, now let's solve this. Let's get the values of our x. Let's get the values of our x. To get the values of our x, we are going to equate each bracket to what? To be equal to 0. We are going to equate each bracket to be equal to 0. So the first bracket is x minus 2. So we are going to say that x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, this implies that our x is equal to this minus 2 will cross to the other side to become plus 2, right? So 0 plus 2 is plus 2. So this is the first value of x. Now, for the second bracket, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. So this means that our x is equal to this plus 2 will cross over to become minus 2, and 0 minus 2 is what? Minus 2. Okay, or the third bracket, is x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now this implies that our x is equal to what? Minus 3. So these are the three values of our x. That is the first method. If you have watched to this place, that means you're actually enjoying this particular video. So if this is the first time you're seeing this face or coming across this video, this page, this is the time for you to click on that subscription button and also on your notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos again. Okay, then don't forget to comment in the comment section and give me any other idea that you feel I missed in this video apart from these three methods I'm about to teach. Okay, I'm teaching already. Okay, now we have solved the first using a method. Now let's go ahead and solve the second polynomial using a different method. Now the second one says, permit me to clean this. We are through with this. Excuse me. Now the second one says that we should do what? Solve x to the power of 3 minus 3x squared minus 9x minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, now as usual, let's first of all try the factorization method. That is the first one that we used. Now if we should group this into two, as usual, this and this we have x squared in common, right? So this is going to be x to the power of 3 minus 3x squared, all right, plus minus 9x minus 5 is equal to 0. Now let's factorize x squared out here, since that is what they have in common. Now x to the power of 3 divided by x squared, you will have x minus 3x squared divided by x squared, you will have what? Minus 3x remaining. So you have minus 3. Sorry, you have only minus 3 remaining. This is 3x squared divided by x squared. X squared will cancel x squared. You are left with only minus 3. Okay, in this case, notice that they don't have anything in common. That means even if you want to do any factorization here, we are just going to bring 1 out, and we have minus x minus 5. Now notice that what you have here and what you have here are not the same thing. So that definitely tells you that if you should use this particular method, it's not going to work. Then the question now is, which method are we going to use? Okay, let's continue. It's not actually. So I'm going to clean this now, and we are going to use the right method. Since that method did not work, we are going to use what is called trial and error method. Yes, calm down. The trial and error is not actually difficult. It's very easy. So the first thing you need to test is, let's test for 1. Let's call x equals 1. X equals 1. Okay, now we are going to test if we put 1 throughout this particular equation, is it going to give us 0? So let's see. If we should put x to be equal to 1 or substitute x for 1, we will have 1 to the power of 3 minus 3 brackets 1 squared minus 9 brackets 1 minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, so 1 to the power of 3 is still 1 minus 3 times, because 1 to the power of 2 is still 1, so minus 3 times that 1 is still minus 3. Now minus 9 times 1 is minus 9. Minus 5 is equal to 0. By me looking at this, this is not going to give us 0. So that means that 1 is not what? A root. Is not a root. So let's check minus 1. We've checked 1. Let's try minus 1. So we are going to check x equals minus 1. So anywhere we see x now, we are going to put what? Minus 1. So we have minus 1 to the power of 3 minus 3 bracket minus 1 squared. Okay. Then minus 9 bracket minus 1 minus 5 is equal to 0. Now minus 1 to the power of 3 is still minus 1. Okay, we have minus 1. Now this is minus 3 bracket minus 1 squared is 1. Is now 1. Okay, then minus 9 times minus 1 will give us plus 9. Then minus 5 is equal to 0. Now we are going to have minus 1 minus 3 times 1 will give us minus 3 plus 9 minus 5 is equal to 0. Let's solve this and see if we are going to get 0. Minus 1 minus 3 will give us minus 4, right? Minus 4 plus 9 will give us 5. And 5 minus 5 will give us 0. So that means this is 0 and is also equal to 0. Definitely, minus 1 is a factor. Now, that minus 1, which is a root, you know we cannot, this is what you are going to do now. You'll now say that x plus 1 is equal to what? 0. That is, x plus 1 is a factor. X plus 1 is now one of those factors. Alright? So this x plus 1 now is the first thing we will use. Remember that we said we got we substituted. Remember that we said let x equals minus 1. Now see why you have to call it x plus 1 instead of that x minus 1. Because if you say that x plus 1 is equal to 0, that means your x is equal to plus we cross over to become minus 1. So definitely, since we substituted x to be minus 1 to get 0, that means we are going to use x plus 1 as what? One of the factors. So now see what we are going to do. This x plus 1, okay, you are going to use it to divide this. Now you are going to use it to divide this using long division so that you will get the quadratic equation that we will multiply with this to get this back. So we are going to divide this by x plus 1. Now let's go ahead and do that. So we have this. This is what? X to the power of 3 minus 3x squared minus 9x minus 5. This is how you do the long division. When x divides x to the power of 3, what will you get? X squared, right? So you have x squared here. You are going to use this x squared to multiply this and this. So x squared times x will give us x to the power of 3. And x squared times plus 1 will give us plus x squared. Then we are going to subtract. We are going to subtract. Now, x to the power of 3 minus x to the power of 3 is 0. So x to the power of 3 is out of the equation. Now, minus 3x squared minus plus x squared is the same thing as minus 3x squared minus x squared. So it's going to give us minus 4x squared. So we have minus 4x squared. So you're going to bring down minus 9x. And you're going to bring down minus 5 as well. Bring this down, bring this down. Alright? This is what I did. Let me recap. For those of you that don't really understand what I did. This is x plus 1 dividing this. So your x will divide x to the power of 3 to give you x squared. This x squared you got, use it to multiply this to get x cubed. Use it also to multiply 1 to get this. As easy as that. Alright, we are going to do the same thing here. So notice that this is the most important thing here. This is what we are using. We use it to divide and then we multiply with what we got. So this x now will come and divide minus 4x squared. And when that happens, minus 4x squared divided by x is going to give us minus 4x, right? Yes. So you have minus 4x. Minus 4x times x is going to give us what? Minus 4x squared. All right. Minus 4x times plus 1 will give us minus 4x. All right. We subtract. Now, minus 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0. Now, minus 9x minus 4x is the same thing as minus 9x plus 4x, right? And that will give us minus 5x. Then, we are bringing down minus 5. Okay, we go again. The same x is going to divide minus 5x. So, minus 5x divided by x, you will have only minus 5 remaining, right? So, you have minus 5. All right, minus 5 times x will give us minus 5x. And minus 5 times plus 1 will give us minus 5. Remember, this is also minus 5. All right, now, we'll have the same thing here and here. That means when you subtract this, you'll have 0. Once you're able to get 0 here, then you are done. So what do you do next? It means that x plus 1 multiplied by what you got, which is what? Okay, is equal to what you are trying to factorize, this whole thing. So it's equal to this thing, which is equal to 0. Now, what do we do next? Notice that we have this, but this is still what? A quadratic equation. So this time around, we need to factorize the quadratic equation, okay? Using normal factorization, if possible, but it is by looking at it. So let's factorize this. X squared minus 4x minus 5 is equal to what? 0. Remember that we have the last one that is the main deal. Okay, so make sure you watch to the end to see how we solved that particular one. So to factorize this, we need two factors of minus 5. That's when we add or subtract them, we get minus 4x, right? So by looking at this 4, I know that 1 and 5 can go. Because I know that if I say 1 minus 5, I'll get minus 4x. I will get minus 4. So that means that 1 and minus 5 is what we need. 1 times minus 5 is minus 5. And 1 minus 5 is minus 4. So what are we going to do? We are going to substitute this as our x. So 1x is same thing as x. And we are going to add x in front of this. So we are going to replace minus 4x with what? X minus 5x. So it's going to be plus x minus 5x minus 5 is equal to 0. Alright, now this same thing as x squared plus x plus in brackets minus 5x minus 5 is equal to 0. So what do they have in common here? X. When x squared is divided by x, we have another x. When plus x is divided by x, we have plus 1. Alright, in this case, what they have in common here is minus 5. So that minus times this plus is minus. So we have minus here. Sorry, minus 5 here. Now, minus 5x divided by minus 5, we have x remaining. Minus 5 divided by minus 5, we have plus 1, is equal to 0. So that means that this, when factorized, we are going to get x minus 5. That is this minus this. Since x plus 1 and x plus 1 are the same, we are going to pick 1, is equal to 0. Alright, remember that we need 3 solutions here, 3 values of our x, because this is cubic. Now, our 3 values are there already looking at us. Is there already looking at us? So the first is that x plus 1 is equal to 0, right? This one. So we have that x plus 1 is equal to 0. So this implies that our x is equal to minus 1. Yes, this plus 1 will cross over to become minus 1. Then this is the second one, this is the third one. So we also have that x minus 5 is equal to 0. So this implies that x is equal to 5. Now we have x plus 1 again. X plus 1 is equal to 0. So this implies that x is equal to minus 1. That means we have x is equal to minus 1 twice, and then x is equal to 5 as the solution to this particular polynomial. Yeah, perfect. Now let's get into the main deal, the main thing. Okay, because I know that when this particular question is thrown to some students, they will lose guard, they will not even know where to start from. Yes, but let me give you the easiest way you can solve it, as easy as ABC. So let's solve the last one. Let's solve the last one. All right. Now the last one says that we should solve x to the power of 3 minus 7x plus 6 is equal to 0. Did you notice something here? Notice that there is no x squared. X squared here is 0. So what do you do to this kind of question? Now, the first thing is we are going to use trial and error first of all to get our first factor. So we are going to try 1 as usual. Let's try 1. So if we put 1 here, 1 to the power of 3, that is, let's call x equals 1. So 1 to the power of 3 minus 7 bracket 1 plus 6 is equal to 0. Now 1 to the power of 3 is 1. Minus 7 times 1 is minus 7 plus 6 is equal to 0. Now 1 minus 7 is what? Is minus 6. Plus 6 is equal to 0. 0 is equal to 0. So definitely this is what? This is a root. All right. Now, you know what we do, right? Because we said let x equals 1. So it's going to be x minus 1. Since our 1 is positive, to put it inside bracket or to call it a factor, we are going to say x plus minus 1. So let's go ahead and do that. So we now have that's what? X minus 1. This is what we are going to use to factorize what? We are going to use this to divide our cubic polynomial. So it's going to be inside minus 7x plus 6. Okay, now let's go ahead and divide. Even if you do not understand the last one that we did, this is time for you to understand the division. But here, notice that x squared is not here, and you're not going to skip that. If not, you won't be able to solve this using this long method. So we are going to clean this, and we must put that what? Our x squared. So we have x to the power of 3 plus 0x squared. Yes, plus 0x squared minus 7x plus 6. Now it's time for us to now do the long division. When x to the power of 3 is divided by x, we have what? X squared, right? So remember, anything you got, you will use it to multiply these two terms here. Now x squared times x will give us x to the power of 3, and x squared times minus 1 will give you minus x squared. Then we subtract. X to the power of 3 minus x to the power of 3 is 0. Now 0x squared minus x squared is same thing as 0 plus x, right? Because 0x squared is 0. So 0 plus x squared will give us what? Will give us x squared. So we have x squared here. All right, we are going to bring this down, which is minus 7x. And we are going to bring this down, which is plus 6. We go ahead and solve. So our x again is going to divide x squared. And when that happens, you are going to have only 1x remaining plus x. Now x times x will give us what? X squared. Now x times minus 1 will give us minus x. We subtract again. Now x squared minus x squared is 0. Okay? Now minus 7x minus x is same thing as minus 7x plus minus is plus, right? Minus 7x plus x which will give us what? Minus 6x. So we have minus 6x. Now we are going to bring down plus 6. You bring down plus 6. All right, we go again. Remember, this is what we are using all the time. That is the one you use. The first time you have is what you are going to use. Now when x divides minus 6x, we are going to have what remaining? Minus x. Okay, minus 6x divided by x. This we cancel this. You are left with minus 6. So we have minus 6 here. So minus 6 times x will give us minus 6x. Minus 6 times minus 1 will give us plus 6. So when you subtract, this and this are the same. You are going to get 0. All right. So that means that we have succeeded in getting this and our quadratic equation. So we are going to do what? Write that x minus 1 times this x squared plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. So we are going to factorize this one. I don't know what entered my eyes. So we are going to factorize this quadratic equation. Okay, so we have x squared plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now we need two factors of minus 6 that when we add or subtract them we get plus 1. You know that the coefficient of x here is plus 1. Now there are so many factors of 6, which are 1, 2, 3 and 6. Now these 2 and 3, by me looking at them, 2 times 3, there is something we can do to get plus 1, right? So the 2 and the 3, if we say 3 minus 2, we are going to get plus 1. So the two factors we are looking for are minus 2 and what? 3. Because minus 2 times 3 will give you minus 6. And minus 2 plus 3 will give you plus 1. So we are going to solve then. That this is x squared. Remember is what? 3 minus 2, right? 3 minus 2. So it's going to be plus 3x minus 2x minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, if you actually need a video or a tutorial, a concise and a detailed tutorial on how to solve your quadratic equation, like all these factorization I'm doing now, if you really need that video, let me know in the comment section so that I will make a separate video on that. Okay, all right. Now what do we do? This same thing as x squared plus 3x, all right, plus minus 2x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now let's factorize. They have x in common, right? So write x. Then x squared divided by x will give us x. This is really disturbing me. Okay, let's continue. So x squared divided by x will give us x. Plus 3x divided by x will give us plus 3. Okay, now in this case they have minus 2 in common, right? And that minus times this plus is minus, so we bring out minus 2 outside. Minus 2x divided by minus 2 will give us x, so we have x. Minus 6 divided by minus 2 will give us plus 3 is equal to 0. So we have actually gotten the two factors that we are looking for here. So, and they are what? X plus 3 and what? X minus 2. X minus 2 is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and then get the values of x. To get that, we'll have, the first is x minus 1, right? That x minus 1 is equal to 0. So this implies that x is equal to 1. Or the second one is x plus 3, right? That x plus 3 is equal to 0. So this implies that x is equal to minus 3. Or that x minus 2 is equal to 0, which implies that x is equal to what? 2. So these are the three values of x: 1, minus 3, and 2. Thank you so much for watching and do have a great day. Bye.